Hey everyone, Dinosaur here. I've got another day one deck profile. This is one of the more interesting ones that I've put together. It's something I've been very excited to kind of see because we got some of those new cards that I think make this deck just at least do something now. I don't think this is going to be, the best deck in the meta. I think it's going to be a fun rogue meta. Um, and that's about it. I really don't think it's going to be topping too many events, but obviously you can be playing around with my build. You can give suggestions, do all that sorts of stuff. But let's get into it and explain why things are where they are. So this deck is very much so a mid-range build. It is not designed to go very long, and it's not designed to be super aggressive. So it's very, very in the middle, kind of where red-purple was in the recent sets. However, it just can't grind like that deck did. It really needs to win at a certain point, and it needs to stay above in card advantage. Otherwise, it will just lose to almost anything, as almost every other deck will. I mean, people are saying like the brooms decks. As soon as that board got wiped and you didn't have any cards in your hand, that you're dead. Game's over. You know. And unfortunately, that's what's going to happen with this deck. So it is extremely, extremely uh, resource heavy here. So let's go over why things are here. And Curse Merfolk being the first one, you would think is like more of an aggro thing, but the card is just really good, especially with like Prince John in the deck. It's just good. There's not really anything to say about it. I guess you could be doing like the 1/3s, but there's really no point. Everything kind of just gets banished to the same stuff now because removal has just gotten that powerful. So Curse Merfolk it is, and if they have to discard a card by attacking it, that's just more benefit to you. You're almost guaranteed to get that 2 lore if you drop it on turn 1. Uh, Ursula is almost self-explanatory at this point. I think she's an amazing card, and I don't think that she is necessarily a turn 2 drop unless you really need her to be. She's definitely a late game drop. You want to snipe the song right as they're about to play it. You want to snipe, be prepared when they have 6 ink. You want to take out Zeus when they're about to put 4 ink down, or if they have an Ursula on board, maybe you do play her on turn 2 and you take out that song that Ursula is gonna sing. So almost any of the Ursulas, by the way, not necessarily a copy of Deceiver, but if they have, say, Deceiver of All, or if they have Ursula Vanessa, those, they're gonna sing something. And getting rid of them with Ursula is just really good. And you want to play her after you play Prince John in most cases, because you will then also get a draw. And Prince John is only at 2 in this deck. He does draw you a lot of cards, but I had to kind of figure out some of the uninkables, and I think that cutting him down was probably the right call here. Only time will tell. He might go right back up to 4 and something else might come out, so you never know. Belle in this deck is going to be the all-star. She is just a wonderful dime target. She helps you double ink. She works really well with hidden ink caster, because now you can double ink uninkables, and keep other things going smooth. I think she's going to be extremely powerful in this build specifically. Grammatala is just Grammatala. She filters your deck. There's nothing else to say about her for this build. Hiram is very self-explanatory as Hiram. I say self-explanatory a lot, but some of these cards are just required in the colors that you're playing. I'm playing 4 popsicles and 4 Hirams. That's basically a guarantee. If you're playing either or, you're playing the entirety of all 8 of them. So, cool card here, Genie. He's been around for a bit, and he's kind of taking up the mantle of like Madame Medusa would have in the red decks. Because he's bouncing something back to their hand, and that's not the best thing ever, but since this is a blue deck, you can ramp up to him, and and you can bounce it back, and if it's the only card in their hand or something, or just slow them down in general, is what this deck wants to do. And then he leaves an evasive 3/4 on the board, which is just cool because he doesn't get taken out by, certain things that are attacking. He doesn't get hit by Maui, which was one of the biggest problems of some of the other characters. So, yeah, being evasive is good, and that's what makes this character playable in the deck, in my opinion. This Mother Gothel is very experimental. She's kind of taken the place of where like Lady Tremaine would have been. And she doesn't get hit by Medusa now, which is nice. And being a 4/6 is pretty good actually. That quest for 2. But it's just them getting to choose what they return is pretty rough. You'd much rather it, banished, but it will slow them down, especially if they only have one character. Bouncing that one back to their hand could just be detrimental to their entire game plan. So she's in here. We'll see how she goes. Robin Hood. Oh gosh, I love this card. I'm running him at 2. Inkable 6-drop. That's just quest for 4. He's just a dime target really in this deck. He's just one of those like, 6 mana. I have dime on board. Boop. I'm getting all of a sudden I have 4 lore plus whatever else I have on board. And that's, of course, if you don't have like anything else. And he's just a threat that sticks on board. He takes out things. He doesn't remove easily. Chances are he's going to get you the 4 lore. So this is just a good card. Star of the deck. Outside of Belle, Clarabelle. So star of the green side of this deck. This card is why there's no Diablo in this deck. This card is absolutely bonkers. Just so good. So she just keeps your resources even. She just really. Oh god, I can say so many good things about this card. She's inkable. She's a 5/6. She doesn't get removed easily. She quests for 2. She brings your resources back up to match your opponent's just ridiculously good card. And so I'm playing her at 3. And Tamatoa at 3, because Tamatoa and her were kind of fighting for the same spot, and I did not want to run Clarabelle at 2. You want to see this card, and you want to drop her as quick as possible. Tamatoa, again, he's part of the item package. He's a little bit better in this build because you can get back Prince John's Mirror, you can get back ice blocks, so you can under the sea people, you can, there's so much more to talk about in the items, but Tamatoa is a pretty big heavy hitter in this deck. And I would run him at 4 if I could find the room. We'll see what happens because I think some cards might get cut and some cards might get bumped up. So we'll see where these ratios end up later in the season. Hideaway at 4. I went over this card in my last video. This is the best card in the set, in my opinion. So much going on with this card. This is going to be mainly for ramp. It's also going to be for getting rid of pesky items. I didn't mention this card hits locations. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure this card hits locations. I can't read it here. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm pretty sure it does. Either way, this card is so crazy for just removing that pesky item or just ramping yourself up. You can be like, oh, I put this here. It's better than 1 jump ahead because you know what's going into your ink. With 1 jump, you don't. And it could be that card that you needed right off the top. Hideaway, you at least know that you're throwing an item or something into your ink, and you can account for that for later in the game. 1 jump ahead at 4 is... It's a good card. It's got to stay at 4. In this deck, Ursula sings it, which is really, really good. Or you just hardcast it on turn 2. And then, drop a Prince John and then a Popsicle on the next turn or something. Just getting that 1 ink in a deck that has green in it is just crazy, in my opinion. We're rocking 3 Let It Goes. Let It Go is a unique card. A lot of people really weren't playing it, but it just really gets rid of some things. It's in this deck. It's the only form of hard removal other than Under the Sea, and Under the Sea is not a guaranteed removal in this deck. So Let It Go's in here at 3 because you want to see that removal sometimes. You really aren't going to care too much about them having extra ink, especially if they're already playing blue. They probably are either going to get that ink anyways, or especially if it's an aggro deck, get rid of the thing. They're more than happy to have that one ink, and if they don't have a resource engine to draw, you're just going to overpower them like right off the bat of playing this card. So we're going to move on to Under the Sea here. Under the Sea it takes out a lot of the heavy hitters of the new set and Ursula's Return, especially with Ice Block. You can just kind of get rid of their, just turn some Ice Block sideways, and then all of a sudden your Tamatoa is singing this thing, and they're just losing all of their stuff to the bottom of their deck, which is some of the best removal I think that you can do right now, because that is just gone. So I love that card. It's kind of in here as like a be prepared, but you don't want to see too much of it, so I only have it at 2. Same thing with Ice Block. It's an item. That's pretty much what Ice Block's in here for. Because we have 10 1-drops between Curse, Merfolk, and Popsicle, so two Ice Blocks is perfect in my opinion. And just having it on the board is a threat to your opponent, even though you're really not doing much of it in this deck. You're just kind of using it for Under the Sea. It really is just an item here, and it's inkable if you have Hidden Inkcaster, so I thought I'd include it. Could be a pretty big heavy hitter, and worst case scenario, you hide it away in your ink. So, Popsicles goes with the Hirams, goes with the Tamatoa, goes with everything. It's there. Hidden Inkcaster is a star in this deck. There is quite a bit of uninkable, but Hidden Inkcaster does kind of fix all of that. It draws you a card when it comes in. Card is just awesome. You can get rid of it with Hiram, you can get rid of it with Hideaway. It counts towards Tamatoa. Hidden Inkcaster counts towards Tamatoa. Sorry, I had a little bit of a technical issue here. Video stopped. See if I can splice that together afterwards. That's my bad. But we're going to move on to Prince John's Mirror. I think this is the best item ever printed. Almost no doubt. It should be uninkable. It should not cost less. And that's about it. The rest of it does what it does. I mean, your opponent just goes down to 3. This just shuts down so many decks. This is kind of counterintuitive with like Clarabelle maybe, but I mean, come on. This card is just ridiculously good, especially if you have Prince John. Like, it just ugh. This is vomit-inducing level card. So I'll just leave it at that. It's going to be in a lot of decks, this format. 4 Fishbone Quill and 2 Lucky Dime. Very standard for just blue in general. But we'll see what happens with this deck. Like I said, I don't think it's really going anywhere. There might be a different version of it, but I think this one is really cool. Obviously, I'm trying to play it like a control deck, even though I know it really isn't. But, never know. So leave your thoughts in the comments and tell me how I could upgrade this. Tell me how you would want to upgrade it, what you could play, what you can't play, things like that. And then I'll see you next time. Bye.